While we're getting ready, because we're live, we just want to welcome the viewers. Thank you for joining us online. Just a couple more announcements I mentioned in the beginning. February 2nd, Monday, is the last day to what, people? Register to vote. So obviously, this is a very highly intelligent, informed group, so you're probably registered, but that doesn't mean your family and friends all are. So make sure you tell them to register to vote by the 2nd. Then early voting starts February 17th. This side is especially sharp. It starts February what? 17th. And then the primaries are March 3rd. All right. And in case you didn't notice, there's a calendar on the screen. I just want to take an opportunity to, speaking of this calendar, to thank Grace Church's Faith Votes team. We have an amazing team led by the Lasettas, Kathy and Joe. Yes, you can give it up for them. Kathy and Joe have put a lot of election resources together, including what you see on the screen. And it's exciting to me to know that these resources that they have put together for our church have been distributed across the Grace International family in our nation, and also the U.S. Pastor Council, which also kind of is housed here under the leadership of Pastor Steve Riggle, has sent it out to 30,000 emails across the country. So we are really doing our part, and we hope that you're doing yours to get the word out across Texas and across the country to register to vote early, and vote in alignment with the values of the kingdom.
All right, well, welcome to the Texas House District 16 Forum. The rules for our forum are that the candidates will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes to answer each question, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. The timer will be in the front row, and the candidates are responsible for paying attention to the time remaining. When your time is up, please complete your sentence and stop. We strongly encourage all candidates to be courteous and avoid comments or attacks of a personal nature. We will ring a bell should we consider any comment to violate this rule. So, Mr. Bouché, you have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you guys for attending. It's so nice to see so many civic-minded people in the same room. And as we're Republicans, all of us, so we have two things we're thinking right now for sure. Number one, we're skeptical of anything that any politician is going to say tonight, right? And number two, we're wondering how much this next election is going to cost us, right? In the final analysis. That's what we're thinking about. Well, my name is Jon Bouché. I'm running for Texas House District 16. I am a realtor. I'm a 40-year Texan. I'm a graduate of Sam Houston State University. I have a degree in law enforcement and police science. My wife, Janine, and I will have been married 38 years. We raised our kids right here in Montgomery County. Most of the 40 years I've been in Texas have been right here in Montgomery County. Now, I was thinking about what I wanted to say tonight, and that movie Groundhog Day comes to mind. 1993 movie. How many of you guys have seen this movie, 1993? It's about a guy who keeps reliving the same miserable day over and over again, and he can't break out of the cycle. And in some ways, that reminds me a lot of Texas politics, right? Every campaign season, candidates stand in front of you and they say, I will reduce property taxes. I will secure the border. I will fix education. I will have secure elections. I will do all these things. And then they go to Austin, and what happens? Well, not much. It's because Austin is broke, folks. And we got to fix Austin. We need servant leaders in Austin. Right now, it's not government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It's government of the special interest, by the special interest, and for the special interest. So I would like to go to Austin to represent you, the people. My name is Jon Bouché. I hope you'll listen to what we have to say tonight.
So speaking of property taxes, we have a question. Property taxes continue to rise. What specific changes would you support to keep homeowners from being taxed out of their homes while still fully funding these schools and local services?
That is a big issue. And I hear politicians say all the time, I'm going to eliminate property taxes. Anybody who tells you that they're going to go to Austin and immediately eliminate property taxes is not being really truthful with you. That has been an $80 billion revenue stream for Texas. Now it is projected to be a $125 billion revenue stream. But there is a way we can start phasing it out. There is a way. It's not raising sales taxes to 22%. That would just be really bad. We don't want to do that. But what we can do immediately is the 25% of homeowners that are 65 years or older, we could immediately cut those property taxes out. That'd be a great start. Because those people are most affected. Now we can do some adjustments and tweak our sales taxes a bit, but we do have about $50 billion in surplus sitting in Austin right now that they've overtaxed us. It's called a rainy day fund and a tax surplus fund. So with responsible stewardship of the money and the growth rate of this state at 525,000 people per year, with a per capita tax of about $5,500, that's about an additional $3 billion. So we could certainly start moving towards the eventual elimination of property taxes in stages. But right now, we just have people telling us it can't be done in Austin. And there's an old saying, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're correct. We need to send people there that believe we can, and we'll do the work to eliminate property taxes eventually in Texas, and I will do that.
The next two questions concern infrastructure. Is there anything you can do at the legislature to help fund infrastructure such as roads or jails or a new courthouse in Montgomery County?
Well, you know where my heart is on this. There certainly is. I mentioned that $50 billion. I mentioned our growth rate in Texas. We are the #1 growing state in terms of population. Does anybody know the #1 growing state in terms of percentage? Who said that? You're correct, sir. Florida, I got a pin for you. Florida is the #1 in terms of percentage. We're the #1 in population. So the problems we're experiencing, needing new jails, needing new courthouses, water is a huge deal. Our power grid is a big deal. All these things are Texas problems. They're not individual to the counties. And I've told you this before, Judge Laird. If I go to Austin, that $25 billion in tax surplus that's sitting there, I will pass legislation to prioritize projects all across Texas so we start paying for those things so we're not putting the burden on these local communities to do it. There's no reason that money should just be sitting there. Well, we need a new courthouse here, we need a new jail here, we need water infrastructure all across the state to meet our growing population. And nobody's talking about that. The money's there, we're just not prioritizing our projects, and I will do that.
What Bible verse best represents God's call on you and the basis for why you are running?
Well, before I got into politics, I was leading worship in Marquillo here. I was leading worship in his church. I was leading worship in several churches, actually. And one of the elders in one of the churches was a guy named Steve Toth. Have you heard of him? Yeah, he used to come to my breakfast. I was the chairman of the Lone Star Christian Chamber of Commerce. And he kept saying, John, you need to get into politics. And I will never forgive him for that, by the way, never. But one of the things I did when I first got into the political world is I noticed that all these politicians are wearing these lapel pins. It's a Texas flag with, a cross and an American flag, and some would just wear the American flag. And so I started wearing the lapel pin I've always had, and that's Ephesians 6, the full armor of God. Now you'll notice an interesting thing about the full armor of God. It talks about the breastplate and the sword and the shield and the helmet and the shoes of peace. You know what it doesn't talk about? Anything for your back. Because if you're in politics, you better watch your back. So I put on the full armor of God. I wear my pin every day. I'm proud to say just about every elected official in this county now has one of these pins because I give them away. Brett Liggins especially funny with that. Whenever I see him, he'll see somebody without one and he'll take his off and put it on him, and then he'll turn to me and he put his hand out. And I said, what are you, a Democrat? What are you doing? So that's the one, the most. Another one is, in politics, Romans 12:18, to the extent that it depends on you, be at peace with everyone. And I do try to do that.
Why would you be a better representative than your opponent?
Wow, that's a great question. I hear laughter out there. If you look at you've seen out in the lobby that big red dot on the Texas map. We are the reddest large county in the state of Texas, and House District 16 is the reddest part of the reddest county in the great state of Texas. And I'm very proud of that. When we go to convention, people are always, oh, you guys are from Montgomery County? And it makes your chest swell up a little bit. You know, I heard one of them say, not everybody can be Montgomery County. When I was passing through the food court at the convention, I said, you're darn right. My opponent has scored an F with Texans for Fiscal Responsibility for 3 consecutive sessions, and when he found out I was running against him, he worked real hard and pulled it up to a C-. Texans Uniting for Reform and Freedom, who fight against toll roads and fight against eminent domain, he has scored an F with them consistently. They have endorsed me, as has Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. His legislative score, overall, Texas legislative score, is also an F. Texas legislative scorecard, 67%. His Young Conservative score, 75%. The Club for Growth Conservatives, he has a 58% score, lifetime score. Now, I have a Louisiana public school education. That's still an F even there. So I believe I could do better than an F on day one on all of these things. I will vote your wallet. I will make sure that I'm watching out for you, which is something that we're not getting right now. Right now, he is a member of a cabal up there that they are the ones controlling things, and they're selling us out to the Democrats like they've done for the last 9 sessions so they can wield power. They do not have your best interests in mind. I do.
List the Texas election ballot positions you have been a candidate for, the year you were a candidate, and whether you won or not.
2018, precinct chair, ran against a 34-year incumbent, and I won by 15 points, so I won. Next time I was on the ballot was the Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District. Been on the ballot actually 3 times as a special election, 2 other elections. I've won every time. I ran for county chair in 2020. I did not win that race. I did not expect to have Carl Rove in the county working against me. I barely lost that race. But those are the only things I've ever run for.
And for those elections that you won, list one positive outcome during your tenure that you achieved for your constituents that voted you into office.
Well, Precinct 35 ended up being one of the best performing precincts in the county, so that's important. And voter engagement, if you're a precinct chair, that's the most important thing. Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District, we had to manage a lot of turmoil. We cut rates immediately. We started being much more responsible to our ratepayers, listening more. We revamped the rules to try and protect the aquifer, and we opened up our meetings. We put in a system so people could watch us, so we could live stream, so we'd be very transparent. And we cut a lot of money out of there. We've done a lot for that, and I'm the vice president of that organization right now. I'm very, very proud of that.
Your opponent recently said at a forum that you supported David Cook, who he said is pro-Obama, pro-George Floyd, anti-oil and gas, or anti-fracking. Why would you support a speaker with these positions?
Well, you'll notice my opponent's not here tonight, okay? I make sure I appeared not only in rooms where I'm celebrated, in rooms where I'm tolerated. Because as an elected official, that builds character and strength, and that's what you should do. You shouldn't shy away from accountability and questions. I did call out, my opponent for voting with the Democrats' candidate in the speaker race. He immediately countered, you want me to support someone who is anti-oil and gas, anti-fracking, pro-George Floyd, pro-Obama. That shocked me. So the next time we had a forum, I was ready when he brought that up again. And I said, you know who else was shocked by that? David Cook. Because when I called his office, they didn't know what we're talking about. You can't find any information about that anywhere online. And I called again today just to verify and confirm that didn't happen. Interestingly enough, do you know who endorsed David Cook in his election? The Texas Oil and Gas Association. So why would they endorse somebody who's anti-oil and gas? So you can stand up in front of anybody and say anything you want. It might make really good applause lines, and it emotionally manipulates the audience, and you feel good about it. But what happens when they go home and they fact check you, and they find you're not telling the truth? Will you ever trust that person again? So I encourage you to write down everything I'm saying tonight and fact check me, because it's important that you can trust what your elected officials are telling you. Because the most important decision you are going to make is for voting for who gets to make the decisions.
How do you plan to work across the aisle to get good laws passed?
We can reach across the aisles on some things. You know, I serve on the Lone Star Groundwater Board. Last time I checked, everybody needs water. Everybody needs power. There are things we can agree on. We cannot agree on DEI. We cannot agree on any race-based programs. We cannot agree on the mutilation of children. There's things we cannot agree on by reaching across the aisle. But in the areas where I can reach across the aisle, I'm happy to reach across the aisle and work with these people. But we're just not on the same page at all with these major issues: the right to life, having men and women's restrooms and safe spaces. You know, it took them 10 years to pass that bill. That should have been passed in about 10 seconds, right? 10 years to pass that bill. So right now, my focus, I'm going to go and try to reach across the aisle and do what we can where we can. But reaching across the aisle during the speaker's race and undermining the majority that we fought so hard to send there is not the time to do it.
Last question.
Hold on, and by the way, that's not cooperation, that's capitulation.
Many Texans don't trust state and local government to act in the public interest. What will you do differently to earn that trust?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do, and I've already started doing this, I served on the committee, the Rules Committee, which closed the primary in Texas. Now, the reason that happened was because I would go to the state party and I'd say, we need to close the primary, and they'd say, you can't do it till the legislature closes it. And then I go to the legislators and they go, you can't do it until the party closes it. And so I finally got tired of it and I got on the Rules Committee, we closed it. So the Republican Party, thank you. And Ken Paxton has a lawsuit right now trying to close it at the state level that he's being fought against. So the first thing we need to do, the Republican brand is strong. We need to protect it. It needs to mean something in Texas, and they need to bring that power to bear on the legislators in Austin. We have a House Republican caucus right now that has rules that protects all the rhinos. Did you know if you're a member of the House Republican caucus, no matter what you do, they're going to endorse you in the election? That's a problem. No matter what you do, if a member works against you, they will be censured. We need to change those rules. We need to devolve power from the speaker. He should not have dictatorial power and be the most powerful politician in the state of Texas, where he can wring endorsements and personal favors out of a governor and a president of the United States. Those are the things that need to be done. We can keep slashing at the leaves of the problem, or we can get to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is the system is broke. And it's not really broke, it's rigged. And we have to send somebody there that's willing to fight to unrig it. And how do you know that I will do that? Because I'm already fighting against the political machine. My opponent is backed by every lawyer in Austin, lobbyists, super PACs, the people making money off of illegal immigration in Colony Ridge, the Sands Casino. How do you know I'm going to fight the system? Because I'm doing it. And I'm happy to go do that in Austin.
You have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
2 whole minutes, okay. This church right here is very special to me. When I was chairman of the Lone Star Christian Chamber of Commerce, one of my missions was to get Christians to vote their values. Because we had millions of evangelical Christians sitting at home, and I knew we could change the world if God-loving people became God-loving parents and they voted their values. And so I came to this church one day, and I sat right over in this area here, and Pastor Riggle stood on this stage, and it was during election season. I was really troubled about this because no other churches were really embracing this idea of voting your values. I wasn't saying vote Republican, I was saying vote your values. And Pastor Riggle stood right here and he said, welcome everybody, good morning. If you're registered to vote, would you please stand up? And I was like, wow, what is this? He goes, if you're still seated, ushers are coming by with voter registration cards. And I said, I'm home. That is where my heart is. We need to get people voting their values. That's what's going to make a difference. That's what's going to save Texas. That's what's going to save America. If we can get people, God-loving people in office, servant leaders that aren't power hungry going there to wield power, because that's unfortunately what we have right now. So my name is Jon Bouché. I'm asking you to send me to Austin so I can fight the fight for you. God bless you.
I am done with you.
So are a lot of people.
So thank you for joining us and answering all our questions, Mr. Bouché, and thank you for your candidacy. We would ask our host to come back up and have a final word, and we also want to thank him for graciously opening his doors again.
And let's thank our judge for moderating tonight. I also want to thank the Eagle Forum team. If you could stand so we can just thank you as well. They've put in many, many hours to get ready for this evening. Before we go, just a quick announcement. Next week we have a forum. Again, this is our last forum of the season. We have a forum for the county judge, for Commissioner of Precinct 2, and for the State Board of Education District 8. It's a little different next week. It's going to be packed on campus. So there's going to be a different event going on in here. So the forums are actually going to be out on the other side of this wall in the room called the Anthem Room. So you can still park in the front or in the back. Just kind of make your way over to that side. We'll have a different setup for candidates. The candidate setups will be on the tables in that sort of hallway. So just so you know that, it'll still be streamed online. Even though we'll be in that room, it will be streamed online. And also, speaking of streaming online, thank you to our AV team. They do a magnificent job. Thank you all for being here today. Drive safely. God bless and have a great evening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.